All right, good afternoon and welcome back. So this afternoon we're going to be working on my buddy's 2016 Gibson J15 acoustic guitar. If you're watching for the first time, I did a revealing of this. He wants me to sell it for him, so we got to do a little bit of work to it before we put it up on for sale on Reverb. So I've already done a partial video where I've taken the strings off of it and the tuners. I'm going to do a second part to that video when I put the strings on it. I've already also did a quick wipe down with the Dunlop 65 guitar cleaner polish. That's all I've done to the finish itself. The fretboard I did clean with the fretboard cleaner, and then I hit with the conditioner and also the lemon oil, wipe that down real good. And then I got the fretboard all taped up, and I kicked the tires on the new Dremel and got one fret polished out. So we'll take a look at that here in a second, and we're going to go ahead and do the rest of that. And then I'm going to show you a bunch of issues that we have here on the finish. And we're going to start with wet sanding. And once we get done with the wet sanding, I'll do a little bit of hand polishing. But then we're going to do another video where I actually machine polish it. So basically today what we're doing is polishing these frets. I'll peel the tape and we'll address some of these issues. So let's go ahead and take a look at what I'm talking about here. So this is a 2016, as I mentioned, and Kevin used this as a daily player, my buddy, and it's in really good shape. It just shows player's wear. And like, you know, any other guitar that you use all the time. So that's what we're trying to do, is just kind of clean up the little blemishes here and there on the finish. But the frets are actually coming out real good. I just hit that real quick, like 10-15 seconds. You can see there are a couple little divots in there, but you can't feel them at all yet. That one may be just a smidget. But yeah, you can see them. It's starting to get a couple little dents here and there on the first couple frets there. But they're in real good shape. You can't feel that yet, so there's no point in doing any kind of leveling or crowning. But those will polish out real nice. So what we're going to use there is a little soft polish wheel here on a Dremel and the polishing compound. So we're going to go ahead and knock that out. But let's go ahead and finish looking at these finish marks that I got on here. So I don't know if you guys can see that, but it looks like water splatters or something on there. I'm not sure what it is. I used that cleaner polish there. I wiped this whole guitar down with it 3 different times. I did peel the pick guard off of it. That is over here. So the back corner here was starting to lift real bad. And as well as over here, this one was probably the worst. You can see the line going straight across the edge there and where all the dirt is on it. So that whole corner back here was lifted. And I got a new pick guard coming for that. So then, you know, just other than that, you can't, on the top, it's really hard to see any blemishes because of the light wood, but there's a lot of pick scratches and stuff like that where it went beyond the pick guard. The top really doesn't have too many issues. A couple little light scratches here and there. I think the worst of it is the armpit spot here. You can hear, listen to that. Right there, it's real rough. So again, this has a really thin finish. So we're only going to be using 8,000 grit sandpaper, which is basically like a little, like rough toilet paper at a gas station. That's what I would compare it with. It's not real aggressive at all. I'm assuming that this has a much thinner finish than any of the Les Pauls and stuff, so I want to be very, very gentle about doing that. And what I'm trying to achieve with this is just to make that smooth, and then when I polish it, you know, have a nice shine to it. But I don't want to take a whole bunch of clear off anything, nothing like that. I'm not trying to level nothing down. I just, well, actually I am just right there, but it's not like I cleared it and I got to level sand the whole thing. I'm just trying to get some blemishes out. Again, whatever these spots are that you can see here, you can hear them. So we'll wet sand on that area. And then right here, again, it's a little rough, so we'll sand that area. And right here, I'm not going to go super nutty fruitcake on this because the machine polisher will take care of a lot of the superficial scratches. But this right here, that's pretty rough and lifted there. Let me see if I can just zoom in on that. You guys can see the texture. There you go. So that's really a lifted area, and that's from that anti-scratch pad. And as you can see here, it left a mark where you got finish wear beyond the scratch pad. So we will wet sand that as well. And I'll do a little hand polishing today, but mostly I'm going to wait for the machine polishing. All that stuff's at my shop, but I can at least get the wet sanding part done, get the frets cleaned up, and then we'll be ready for the next step. But yeah, there's just little blemishes here and there, as you can see, just like that. So there's certain little spots that I'll hit with the wet sanding paper, and then other than that, hopefully the machine will polish out the rest. But it's a player's guitar, and it is in beautiful condition for player's grade. It's not cracked or broken or bent, twisted neck, nothing like that. It's just been used. So again, the headstock, I'm going to wet sand that whole headstock because you can't really tell on film, but it has a lot of there we go, a lot of scratches in it from string changes over the years and all that. So, and then right here, I think this is from a tuner. It looks actually like a fingerprint of super glue or something there, but it's actually probably from a tuner. So I'll work on that, sand that, and then machine polish it. And it's not all going to come out 100%, but a good majority of it will. And by the time you get it all wet sanded and polished, machine polished, and a new pick guard back on there, it's going to look like $1,000,000. So hopefully everything turns out good and I don't screw the finish up, knock on wood. So we're going to go ahead and get started with the frets here. I guess I could bring you guys down here and let you watch from this angle here. Move this water so I don't spill it. We got a couple unboxings too. I'm waiting. Pops was here earlier today, and that's one of his unboxings, and there's another one showing up, and he got tired and wanted to go home, and he's got a couple of his builds out here. We didn't do any filming when he was here. He was going to stick around to do the unboxings, but UPS hasn't showed up yet. So we'll probably do an unboxing later this afternoon on that. So basically what we're going to do now is we're just going to turn this on low to get some compound on the buffing wheel. So you just want to get a little compound on that, and come down here and then work the compound on it before you go cranking it up. If not, you're just going to fling it all off. So now you go ahead and hit the high. And just polish that out nice. Look at that. And that's why you tape off the fretboard so you don't get all that black stuff in your grain of your wood. Now, of course, it's going to have the black smudging next to the frets on the tape, but that sure does beat doing it by hand. Just makes real quick work of it. So we're going to go ahead and do that real quick. So I'm going to go ahead and get these all juiced up, and then we're just going to buzz through them all. Yeah, that makes really quick work of it. I'm glad I got another one. My last one took a crap. I got two other ones actually. One's an air operated one, and the other one is a cheapy Harbor Freight one. And it still works good, but the chuck where you put your bit in it, every time you put something in it just falls out because it's just cheap garbage. And this one works real good, so. So see, it don't take that long to get down the fretboard when you're using that. If you were doing it by hand, you'd still be up here somewhere. Let's keep on rolling and get this tape peeled, and we'll start wet sanding. I cheated a little bit on this one. My pad's nice and wet, so I just moved down to another one. We're almost done. The fretboard came out real nice. We're going to do it again though, because there's going to be compound in here next to the frets, even though I taped it. It's just the way it goes. Alright, and that's that for the Dremel part anyhow. Now what I will do, I'll take a little bit of this cleaner, if I can get it to squirt. There we go. And that'll just help wipe off some of the residue on the frets before I start peeling the tape. The other thing too, I'll mention, again I always mention this, I never use one of these on the guitar itself. Only appropriated cloths for the guitar. This I use on fretboards only because it is coarse, even though it's soft. This and microfibers down here. Let me show you. Stuff like this that you would use to wax your car with. Don't use that on your guitar either. It's like using wet sanding paper. Even though it's soft, it's like 2000 grit, you know, maybe 4000. These are rough too. I save this stuff for fretboards and stuff like that. Or if you get a really old guitar that's just disgusting and you need to wipe it down and it's really scratched up and stuff, it doesn't matter, I guess. Go ahead and do it. I'm surprised this tape stuck as well as it did after cleaning the fretboard. I wasn't going to clean the fretboard first. I was going to do it after this, but it was so dirty that I decided I'll go ahead and clean it once. Why is there always one piece of tape that doesn't want to start for you? I tried to leave the ends up so I could peel them easy. And then this tape here, I buy this from an automotive place. It's, I don't know if you guys can see that, automotive refinishing masking tape, 3M. About $8-10 a roll, depending on which size you get. But it's the best tape. It doesn't leave residue behind. It doesn't let things bleed at the same time. It's really good tape. As a matter of fact, to testify how good this tape is, my wife and I taped up the office at our shop, and we were getting ready to paint it, and her father passed away, unfortunately, and we haven't taken that tape off, and we tried to peel some off after it's been on there for well over a year, and it came off with no problems. Like you just stuck it on there today. So this is really good tape. So if you guys are looking for a good tape, that's the one you want there. That 3M automotive one. The yellow one's the best. Alright. I'm not gonna clean the fretboard again right now because we have all the wet sanding to do and then the polishing, so it's going to get compound and other stuff like that on it, wax. I'm going to try not to, but it's just going to be inevitable. Alright. So that's that. Frets are all polished. We'll clean this fretboard one more time and we'll condition it and then lemon oil it, put some strings on it. So let's go ahead and get to wet sanding this thing. And I think I'm just gonna jump right into the back of it where the worst of it is. By the way, what you're hearing is the cable for the 9-volt battery. I took this out of there. It velcros in up at the neck joint. It's pretty dusty and dirty, so I'm going to take it up to the sink, toothbrush wash it, and let it dry out real good, and put a brand new battery in it. It's got an old Royvac in it, so I'll put a Duracell Max or something in there, Energizer Max, whatever you want to call them. So anyhow, let's see. I got to grab a couple cloths to dry up with here. Always use a wet and a dry. This one here I got for cleaner. Try to keep a separate rag for everything. So earlier today, a couple hours ago, I took this paper, which was very stiff and hard. It's like a cloth back, like canvas. And again, you can see it's 8,000 grit. And I put it in warm water and I let them soak and absorb the water. That's one of the recommended things to do even if you're working on a car and stuff. So once they've soaked and absorbed water, just get it wet, bring it up here, and gently start sanding. And again, this is 8,000 grit. So I wanted to see what it was going to do, how it was going to act with the finish, if it was going to make any of this rough spot feel smoother. And then if I decide, I will go a little rougher grit and then go back, work my way back up to the 8,000. But again, I'm not looking to try to take a ton of finish off. And I don't think that this is going to work, to be honest with you. That's pretty lifted there. We'll see. I'll keep working on it. I don't want to take too much off. So I'd rather start with a lighter than too aggressive. Because if you start with something aggressive, you got to work them scratches out too. So you're still taking more off. And again, with this being basically like toilet paper, I mean, I wish you could feel how soft that is. So kind of figured I had my work cut out trying to do it like this, and I was right. The last one that I wet sanded, I actually used the cordless DA. So we may go that route just so it moves faster. I'm going to try a couple different things. So basically that's what this video is we're testing out what to do. On the last one that I wet sanded too, when I was using the machine, I could actually see the white in the water from the clear coat, and I'm not seeing any of that at all whatsoever. So we're not doing anything much to it, but you can hear that spot, and it is getting smoother. So I think what I'll do, I'll just keep working on this. We'll see what happens. Go ahead and wipe this off and we'll start over again. But yeah, it definitely smoothed it out more. So hopefully when I machine polish it, if I can get it smooth enough, we can get some shine back to that spot. That's the other thing too, when you're sanding, if you have to go back and forth for a minute, that's fine, but just always make sure you're trying to sand in tiny circular motions, because then when you do polish it out with the machine polisher, the scratches are a lot easier to get out than if you have big long scratches from the sandpaper back and forth. Same when you're knocking stuff down too. Try to sand with the grain if you got raw wood. I'm just rambling on because what else am I supposed to talk about right now, right? That anti-scratch pad did no favors whatsoever. I'm going to switch papers here. Let that one soak again for a minute. Yeah, that's better. I squeezed all the water out of that one pushing on it. Yeah, you can hear that dull spot. Yeah, I'm confident that the machine polishing on this is going to take the majority of that out, because Matt's guitar wasn't quite as bad as that, but it was pretty bad, and I got it all out. At least the dull look. Some of the scratches didn't come out, but the dullness did. So yeah, this is the process. And I'll continue doing this over and over and over, all the way around the edges and the top. Top's going to be a little more difficult. That's why I started on the back, because you got the bridge in the way and the sound hole, and you don't want to be leaking water down in the sound hole. It already has a little bit of water damage inside of it from a leaking humidifier. And Dad and I think that's what happened here, is that anti-scratch pad was clung here, and this spot got some water in there, and that's why the finish, that's our theory. But it does have water staining. I shouldn't say damage. I mean, I guess technically that's called damage, right? But it didn't like warp any of the wood. It didn't cause any of the braces to come loose, or, you know, it didn't do any structural damage to it whatsoever. I looked at it real good and it just put some stains in it. And none of the wood is warped or anything like that, so I think it'll be okay. I'm just going to do this for another second or two here, and we're going to move on. And then I'll decide after I machine polish it if I should do any more wet sanding or not. But I'm covering the whole area because what this is going to do, it's going to blend in where I did sand already, and it's going to take care of any superficial scratches as well that the polisher wouldn't normally get. So I think that's about all we're going to do on the back for right now. We'll move on to the sides. But yeah, so I may go a little more aggressive on the wet sanding before I polish, because usually when you wet sand something and you've taken enough off and you can still polish it to a really nice shine, it's kind of dull, like the shadowing around this really bad spot. So it'll look flat. So I didn't even really touch the finish, but I do think it looks a lot better already. And see, that's just a wet sanding, and it's made those spots a lot smaller. So what I'm probably going to do is wet sand that with just a smidgen more aggressive wet sandpaper, go back to the 800 and then machine polish it, and I bet you majority of that comes out. And we're going to go ahead now and work on that area and this upper area here. So I guess I'll set you guys back up here. We're 27 minutes in. I don't know if you guys are still watching or not, but somebody requested that I stop doing shorts and just record what I do, and so that's what I'm going to do on this video. But I figured I'd split it up into different videos, because if I was just to do this whole guitar, it'd be hours. So we're going to do this wet sanding here. First wet sanding, and then we'll get into the polishing, maybe some more wet sanding. What are you doing? So I guess what I should probably do is just finish wet sanding this, because it's going to take me a long time. We're probably a half hour into it now. You guys get the point of what I'm doing. After I get it all wet sanded, I'll get the polishers home. I'll turn the video on again. We'll see how it comes out polishing it. If you don't like it, I'll wet sand it again at that point. That's what we'll do. So I'll get it wet sanded. Next video, we'll polish it out, see if we need to wet sand it anymore. And before we polish it, we'll take a look at how it looks after wet sanding. So it should have somewhat of a duller, chalky looking finish than that, but it's turning out pretty good. I'm impressed. I mean, listen to that now. Put you over here by the mic. Can barely hear that now. So with just a little more aggressive sandpaper, I'll be able to get the rest of that out and be able to machine polish that. So yeah, it's turning out real good. Just make sure if you guys are wet sanding a guitar, especially an acoustic, keep it dry. Don't let the water run into places, because it's not like a solid body. You get it moist, it's gonna crack, come apart, warp, swell. So just be careful when you're wet sanding. Keep it dry. All right, guys. Till next time, thank you for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. We also have 2 unboxing videos coming yet, so stay tuned for that. And obviously we've got quite a bit of work to do to that yet. Till then, thank you.